year based on early indications of our budget work. So our social studies department is considering getting an updated American history text. So as soon as that they find one that is adequate, that is when we're considering to move forward. We also have to keep in mind the African American Latinx Studies program that will be adopted next year. So looking at those potential texts would be in the spring that we would move forward. And then high school pre-calculus is always looking for a better edition of what they have. They find they supplement it, but yet that is just sitting on the table until they find one that is preferred. So those were the texts that are potential for this year of what we know right now until the budget season is completed. Our budget meetings are completed. We also discussed the potential updates for from the State Department of Education with the 23-24 school year. There will be the requirement of each town to use one of the state approved early literacy programs. So more will be coming this year about that, as well as any other curricular updates from the state. Lastly, we spoke about sound fields or audio assistance for classrooms to just give a preliminary overview as we are in the beginning process of identifying a system that would work in Bolton Center School and its benefits for our students.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Finance Committee.
Yeah, so Finance met yesterday morning, and at this point, the budget is 13% expended as compared to 15% last year, and special education is an ever-changing landscape. Mrs. Heck, do you want to take us a little further?
Yes, ma'am, I certainly do. Thank you. So for transfers for the September list, you should be seeing that on your screen. The first one was to purchase some additional webcams for computers that require a webcam in order to participate in Zoom meetings. We were notified by our vendor that they were rapidly flying off the shelves and they were going to be out of stock, and they had no idea when they would be back in stock. So Sarah was on top of that and got us some extras. So in case one or two fail, we at least have some in our stock to be able to allow our staff to continue to participate virtually. We had a reallocation in repairs for costs related to the install of the new Bolton High School Network video server, specifically related to the generator outside at BHS. We had a vacuum cleaner at BCS and a floor machine that are no longer with us and needed to be replaced, and supplies just for in-house repairs. And lastly, reclassification to cover the cost on the train control services for the generator and the new inspection maintenance program that's going to happen for the generator as well. That concludes the transfers.
So we'll be looking for a motion to approve the September transfers.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann and Maria. Is there any questions or comments about these? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstaining? That passes. Was there anything else to report? That was it, right?
That's it. Yes, thank you.
Moving on to personnel. Personnel had a brief meeting to discuss terms of employment of unaffiliated employee and a couple other items we will be discussing in executive session later on this evening. That brings us to the BHS student representative report.
Emily, you're on first.
The seniors are excited to start planning our futures. Those of us who are hoping to go to college are starting to fill out and apply to our schools of choice and using the Common App. We're also all working on our capstones. Most of us are on to their final drafts of our research paper and starting to think about ideas for projects. And the National Honor Society just finished electing their leaders and have their first meeting tonight. Both the girls and boys cross country team are having a great season. The boys have a record of 8-4 and are currently ranked 5th in the NCCC and came in 7th at the Wickham Invitational. And the girls have a record of 11-1 and are currently ranked 2nd in the NCCC. And they've set a new home course record and came in 1st at the Wickham Invitational.
Thank you. Michael.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We recently held school elections for the school and grade student councils and took PSATs this week. In sports, the boys soccer team has 5 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties, while the girls soccer team has 2 wins, 6 losses, and 1 tie. The volleyball team has 6 wins to 7 losses, and the basketball team has not started playing yet, but they will be starting in the upcoming month.
Awesome. Thank you. Em and Mike, you guys are welcome to stay as always, but if you have homework or things to do, by all means, pop off, okay?
Thank you very much.
Any questions for Em or Mike before they pop off? Thanks, guys. Good night.
All right, we're moving on to community meeting reports. Firstly, I just want to say, I don't know if everyone got a chance to see their email around midday, a proposed dates for the 3 board meeting went out, and those were Monday, October 25th and Tuesday, the 26th. Those would be at 7 p.m. And I'm just wondering if we want to try to come to a consensus or see who's available on what of those days. Does anyone have any input? I could make those days work, but Tuesday would be better for me, but Monday would be fine also.
I can do
Either
either
would
day.
work for me also, but Tuesday would be easier for us also.
Same here. Tuesday's easier.
Same for me. But I would be able to attend on Monday as well.
Okay, sounds like we have complete consensus on that for those of us who are here. So I'll respond to that email saying that the Board of Ed participants would do what we just said, which is prefer Tuesday, but most of us would be able to do Monday if that was what we wanted to do. So thank you for that. Is there anyone who has any other community meetings? The usual ones. All right, I'm hearing nothing. So at this point, I'll turn things over to the superintendent of schools for the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you very much. So first up tonight, we have a food service update. So I would like to introduce Heather Plourde, our Director of Food Services. And Heather, I would also ask before we even get started, if you could introduce our new awesome food service manager and assistant manager who are on with us tonight too. I just want to have everybody have a name to a face. So you guys, when they introduce you, if you could just give a wave, that would be great because they have been absolutely awesome and have hit the ground running. And we are so very fortunate to have both Jackie and Heather with us. So Heather Plourde, please.
Hi guys, Heather Plourde here. Jackie O'Brien, is here and she's awesome. She comes from Big Y with 8 years of retail managerial experience, and she's already proven to be a huge asset to the program. So I'm very excited to see where we can take the program with her at the helm. So I'm very excited. So there's Jackie. Jackie, say hi.
Hi.
And is Heather on?
No,
I'm not sure if Heather's on. I'm not sure if Heather
I didn't think she was, but I just wanted.
Yeah, no, Heather Dublack, who's actually a parent of a youngster at Bolton Elementary School, is now part of the food service management team as well. And she's also been a really great asset to the program. And I'm really excited to see how some of the changes are going to play themselves out this year. So I would like to say welcome to them both, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Doing a great job, Jackie.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to give you guys a little overview of how we wrapped up last year. So as you can see, we had projected over 200,000 revenue. We landed very short from what we had thought, but we were expecting that with COVID, we really didn't know what to expect. So I'm not thrilled that we didn't land where we wanted to, but when we can get to the expense side, it all actually balanced itself out pretty well. So we projected 267,000 and landed at 177, which wasn't horrible. So you can see where the claims landed. We didn't do any sales. There was no a la carte. We couldn't sell anything. So basically everything that we had done was all through reimbursement through the meal program, between children that were eating in school, children that were remote learning, and those in the community that were able to access the meals through the Seamless Summer program. I can go to the next, thanks. So there's the expenditures. So as you can see, we had definitely saved in our expenses, which was awesome. Balanced out very well. I think I had projected, I think it was close to a $30,000 loss that we were going to see, which we did not end up doing at all. We actually were positive to almost $3,000, I believe, which was a small win for the food service program. Most programs did not do well. So even just breaking even as we did was a really huge success as far as I'm concerned, because so many food service programs across the country were decimated by the COVID outbreak. The reimbursable meals. So last year we did over 16,000 breakfasts to the children that were in school and throughout the community that participated. And we did over 35,000 lunches. So that was big. And as you know, that we did 7 days a week. We were allowed to feed children for 7 days a week over vacations, holidays, and we definitely had a decent participation with that. So that was a real benefit to the community. Well, with our $2,700 surplus, our fund balance now is at $47,078. And despite the challenges, we were able to keep going, and the team really did a great job, an amazing job. They stuck with it, and it's still grueling. I can't lie. We're still in the throes of this as a food service department. So we wrapped up nicely last year. Bolton team took a little break over the summer, and we're back at it this year. So we'll keep going. And they're going to extend it. So whether you were aware of it or not, this government has decided to extend the Seamless Summer option, which entitles free meals for all 18 and under within the community. The only difference is this year that we can only do it during operating days. So only the 180 or 182 days or however the district operates, as long as there's instruction being given to the students, we're allowed to feed the community. So anyone 18 and under or over 19, if they have disabilities, we can feed. So the children in school or at home. And this will extend all the way till the end of June this year. With an increase also, I should mention that our reimbursement rates are higher this year because of the pandemic. So last year we were getting $3.58 per meal for lunch, and we're getting $4.32. So that's 74 cents higher per meal sold or distributed, and breakfast we're at a 57-cent increase per meal. So that's already proven to be very beneficial as we see how we've landed September's claim. So projected this year based on the reimbursement rates and based on the participation we've already seen with providing free meals for all the students in school, we've done the most we've ever done as far as our claim. So if we kind of keep running this line, I definitely anticipate a win this year of close to 20,000. I mean, it's again still COVID, and there's still a lot of unexpected things that can happen. But if we stay on this track, I feel confident that we'll do well this year. And basically, so you can see last year at the end of September, we did an $8,700 reimbursement, and that was even 7 days with the distribution and people coming to pick up meals. This September, with the meals that we sold, our claim is over $28,000. So that's tremendous. The reimbursement rates puts us in a much better position. So I feel that if we can continue to get product. As I think you'll see the next slide, we do have some challenges. Staffing is good right now in Bolton, but we are having a huge issue with supply chain. And I'm sure if any of you watch the nightly news and you're paying attention, this is not just a Bolton issue, this is an entire country issue. And our programs across the country are being impacted. So we can't get the product to the warehouse can't get the product to us. So this has been a huge challenge for us this year. So I'm hopeful that that will level out at some point, but it's not looking very good. So we just continue to ask for patience and understanding as menus change, products change, the prices are going up. So those are the things that we have to work with. We can't commit to keeping bid prices the way they are because we can't even get those items in, and the prices are just, just higher and higher every time you log on to place an order, and the inventory is lower and lower. So that's our biggest struggle right now. That's it. And we welcome the girls to our team, and we are very happy to have you. And it's an interesting year to start, that's for sure. It's not the best year for child nutrition, but it's a challenging one. So I feel like if you stick it out, you got this.
Absolutely. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Heather. She has been essential in everything that we have dealt with in the food service world. And you heard a lot described here tonight about the multiplicity of challenges that we face on a daily basis to ensure that our kids have breakfast and lunch available to them. And she manages a lot of hats, and we've had a lot of, we had some staffing concerns and some bumps in the road, and she has handled it with tremendous grace and a great think outside the box attitude. And we very much appreciate the partnership that we have with Heather for sure. So thank you, Heather.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I do enjoy working with you all. So thank you.
Questions for Heather or for Jackie?
Yeah.
Jackie's like, what?
So yeah, I'm just going to reiterate that. Thank you, both of you, so much. Thank you to your team. I know it's just been an extraordinary year, and everybody appreciates what you guys do. And I guess my question is, I know that food services is a self-sustaining program. What do we do with a surplus?
Well, we're only allowed to keep a certain amount. So at the end of this month, I actually do a report with Casal, and I work on a report that we submit to the state just to ensure that we're not, we're allowed to hold on to 3 months worth of operating expenses. So salaries, all of that. And there's a formula and a worksheet that we do. If in fact we were to have more than that, which we don't. But if we were to have more than that, we would just have to put the money back into the program. So like, a new refrigerator or something like that, we would just invest the money back into the program. So we're just not allowed to stockpile it. They really encourage us to put the money back into our programs to make sure that we're keeping, our equipment up to date and, things like that. So that's what we would do if there was a surplus. But at the moment, I'm not anticipating that's going to be the case. But
it's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
All right. Hearing none, ladies, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Feel free to stay, but you don't have to.
No, after the day I've had, I'm going to go sit down for a little while. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Great
Thank you.
job. Thank you. All right, now we're on to Mr. Giard for an update about Bolton Center School.
Good evening. As you can see there, the first bullet, the BCS staff and students recently celebrated the participation of students over the summer in the BCS Adventures in Summer Learning program. Mrs. Saffron and Mrs. Sullivan did an excellent job of hosting a school-wide virtual assembly for the entire school where students were recognized and raffle tickets were pulled. We had a total of 164 students earn raffle tickets for a total of 2,697 raffle tickets. And tickets were pulled for all 93 prizes that were funded by the PTA. And to be honest, you could hear the roars throughout the building as students' names were read, and that classroom that they were in would go crazy. So it was a lot of fun. I want to take literally a moment that we said it to the PTA at their meeting, but to reiterate it that a special thank you to them, because the 93 prizes, and Mrs. Saffron spent a lot of time ordering. A couple examples were like a stuffed bulldog and a couple of other examples that the students were very excited to earn. And this was our greatest year of participation. We're now in the final stages of planning the BCS Walkathon, which will take place on Thursday, November 4th, rain date November 5th. The staff and students are excited, and this is a very large fundraiser for the PTA. So the PTA is playing a huge role in helping to plan this with Apex, which is the company that we partner with. The PTA is seeking parent volunteers, so I'm going to make a little pitch right now. If there's any BCS parents watching and you're interested in helping, contact me and I'll put you in contact with the PTA. We're gonna have like 3 waves during the walk and looking for 10 parent volunteers per wave. So if you're interested, let me know. I wanted to provide the board with a update on the spring 2022 Washington, D.C. trip that was planned for the 7th and 8th graders, or is planned for the 7th and 8th graders. Mr. Lambert communicated with families on October 1st that our priorities are to provide an educational, fun, and safe trip. He stated that we will need to notify the company of our decision on the trip by early November, and that's going to be based on developments with COVID. And that timeline of early November is contingent on like fundraising beginning, deposits that are due. So we try to tell parents that we have about another month, at this point, another 3 weeks before we have to make that decision. The third bullet you can see there is in regards to a shout out to the BCS staff. The BCS staff, and that includes teachers, custodians, administrative assistants, paraprofessionals, cafeteria staff, as mentioned a minute ago, have been doing an outstanding job since the opening of school. And I can't say that enough. The staff has made great use of PD days, which we recently had 2, been very responsive to students and families, and has continued to provide not only excellent in-person instruction, but remote instruction, which again is continuing this year, to those students who are required to be at home. So I can't say enough how amazing they are. All right, the next slide, the much anticipated premiere that I've been building up for a couple of Board of Ed meetings. I've been referencing the Bolton 300 mural project, and I'm excited to announce that we did complete the project on Friday, October 8th. The project included every student at BCS and several 9th graders. Thank you, Mr. Davey, for the idea at the last meeting. Several 9th graders from BHS. The project was guided by Meredith Arcari and Michelle Begley from the American Mural Project and BCS art teacher Caitlin Paradis. The mural celebrates Bolton's 300th anniversary by highlighting the town's great history and landmarks. The project consists of 5 large panels. They're ginormous. I had to move them today. That we mounted in the art room hallway at BCS. The students worked from September 27th to October 8th in the art room and in the art room hallway, pretty much the entire day, every day during that period. To capture the spirit and excitement of this large scale project, we put together a very special video that we want to premiere tonight. I hope you enjoy.
These are the 5 6x4, I want to say, panels that the mural is going to be on.
I'm from American Mural Project, and we're focusing on Bolton's school and the different sites throughout Bolton that make it unique. So the students are creating different architecture and buildings like the town hall, and also the people that live in Bolton, and the different native wildlife and flora. Fish and Family, is it Fish and Family Farm? Yeah, so the student really felt close because she goes to the farm, like she says, like every week, and feeds the cows. So she wanted to focus on drawing the cows. So it's really important for, at least when I'm teaching, is I want the students to have a connection to what they're drawing.
So when I started, I found out that we would be creating a huge mural inside of the school for Bolton's 300th anniversary, which was awesome. I've always wanted to be part of a school-wide project, and the fact that the town is involved in it too makes it even more special. Over the next 2 weeks, every single classroom that comes into the art room will be having a part in creating a portion of the mural. So every student is going to have their hands on the mural, whether it is painting a portion of it, drawing something that's then going to be added to it, planning out where things are going to be added to the mural. So it has come to the end of day one of our mural preparation. Fourth and fifth graders worked really hard on creating some landmarks of Bolton. We have Munson's Chocolate Factory, of course, the library, we have the high school. This is that sign that's in the town green. And then kindergarten worked on creating some flowers to go on the bottom of our mural. Eighth grade did a fabulous job creating some people to go on the mural as well. And then seventh grade worked on creating some wildlife animals. So we have quite a variety at the end of the first day. Tomorrow we will be adding some birds, some more greenery, some trees. We cannot wait to get started.
I like painting and the fact that it'll be on the walls for younger kids to see about Bolton's history. I think it'll just really make kids be inspired to have their own artwork and to learn more about Bolton's history.
So we are cleaning up after the middle school painted all of the grass on the mural. Kindergarten's coming in and they're going to be creating flowers. Very strategic. We think the eighth graders have more control of the paintbrush and can control what they're doing, as opposed to the kindergartners who we have to do a sit down and guided drawing for that type of artwork. Write your name, do your best. Can everybody see my hand? That's it. All right, this is where I'm going to show you how to draw a flower. I'm going to draw in Sharpie, which is a black marker. Watch this. I'm going to add petals to my circle by drawing upside down U's. You know how to make the letter U? U? Everybody do it with your finger. We have eighth grade working on creating people for our mural. Hello.
And we're all doing wonderfully.
Yes, you are.
Equal work.
Fabulous job, my friends.
Art is not always community driven, but the more community art that can be made, the more we give our kids tools to connect to one another and to define themselves by the community around them. And I think creating a visual representation of what they feel is a really critical part of your education.
Everyone did them in different styles. Some of them are really animated, some of them are more realistic, so it's going to look interesting, like all displayed together.
It's come along amazingly. We have a lot more work to do. We painted all of the grass. We got mountains. We got the sky in there. I'm not sure if we can see, but we've also blocked out a lot of the roads and the rail trail that we're going to be adding as well. So next week we're going to be working on putting the entire thing together. So I have sixth grade right now working on, what are we working on, guys? Yeah, we are. We're adding some translucent sky colors, sunset action. It's beautiful. What are you cutting, Dylan?
I'm cutting a cow that I've been working on for 5 minutes.
Fabulous. We also have a variety of wildlife that we are going to be adding to our landscape as well. We have some ducks, we have turtles, there's a bunch of cows because we know that there's plenty of farms in Bolton. We have some bunnies.
That was awesome. And I want to congratulate Mr. Giard and Ms. Paradis and all our students for the awesome job, Ms. Saffron, that they all did on making this mural happen in spite of all of the obstacles that we have faced in the last year and a half trying to get it done. So well done, well done. Any questions for Mr. Giard?
I'm just going to jump in here and say that anytime I get a window into the classroom, I'm thrilled. And this one was just fantastic. I love the whole thing. Thank you.
All right. Now we're going to move on to an update from Bolton High School. Mr. Maselli.
For the new signs up front. And I'd like to kind of continue some thank yous this week and mention two businesses that have really done a lot to support the high school and Bolton Public Schools. So first of all is our bus company, M&J. I know you're aware of the nationwide shortage of drivers. We're really grateful that we partnered with M&J. The drivers have been fantastic. Our home to school and school to home transportation really has gone without disruption. And with the out of box thinking, we've had very little disruption to our athletic program. And I'm very happy to report that and very grateful for their partnership. One of the events that our students, I'm not sure they mentioned it or not, is we have pictures coming up. So that's something the public always wants to hear about. I just want to mention we're going to continue to use the socially distanced methods that we developed during the height of the pandemic. We have not missed taking pictures of our students. We know that's very important to our families. I'd like to thank Charlene Larkin, our photographer. You may or may not know that she joined us a few years ago when our previous school photographer shut down very suddenly without warning, kind of left us in a lurch. And we're a little bit out of Charlene's normal geographic area, but she's been great to help us out. She's an award-winning photographer, but she keeps that personal touch. You may or may not recall again that it was with her assistance that we were actually able to pull off that 2020 drive-in graduation. And we had a special event last year for class of 21. And I'm just so happy for that. And I know she's got great things in store for our senior class this year as well. I did mention last month that I'd like to talk about a new program to support students transitioning into the high school. And we call that Team 25. So it is really about supporting transition. It's not something that we just thought up over the summer. We have been discussing and planning this for 3 years because we can always do more to support the transition into high school. This required some alignment, which is why it took a few years. So we had to realign staff assignments. We needed to get to the point where there was one math teacher teaching all the ninth grade math, one science teacher, one English teacher. We also need to do some rearranging of some classrooms, and kind of the cohorting and stuff that we did last year was the impetus to kind of work on finalizing that rearranging to make it happen. So the key components of the Team 25 transition support program, it was the summer work, right? So the planning that the team did over the summer and the orientation piece that you'll hear about, as well as some common time. And our team is going to help you understand that as well. So joining us, I'm going to just stop the share for just a quick second. And I'm going to do that, try to find everybody in the Zoom meeting so I don't forget anybody trick. So representing Team 25 English, we have Mrs. Lynch. This is where you wave, right? Okay, good job. Mr. Mishriki for social studies. Mrs. Hobel for science. Mr. Galley for mathematics. And two other key members that weren't able to join us tonight is our 9th grade school counselor, Mrs. Destiny, and our librarian has stayed super involved with Team 25 too, and that's Mrs. Klepfer. So I will fire the share back up here and I will turn it over to the teachers from Team 25.
All right. Hi, I'm Mr. Gali. I'm the freshman math teacher, like Joe said. We started our freshman orientation a long time ago. It was the middle of the summer, and we had a 2-week session where we were planning out a bunch of stuff that we wanted to do for orientation. It was about a 5-hour orientation. It was about a week before the school year started. And we created a bunch of different things. One we really wanted to take care of was things called Bigs and Littles. We wanted to make sure that upperclassmen were present while we had our whole student body of freshmen there, so that students weren't going into their first day of school and being like shocked about all these like 11th or 12th graders that were there. So we had about, I'm trying to think, like maybe 7 or 8 upperclassmen, and they were actually giving some tours around the school. There were 10 different sections that we wanted to make sure the students saw us. It's even though it's a one floor school. There's many different places that students need to get accustomed to. We didn't want them getting lost on that like first day of school, or not getting as lost as they could have been. And we wanted to make sure that they at least got an idea of like everywhere that the school had to offer for their classes, and as well as like guidance, nurse, and stuff like that. So students got accustomed to some of the upperclassmen. We think that went as a good plan to start off. We also created this thing called characteristics of freshmen. What we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure students collaboratively came up with some ways to succeed. Joe was talking about how we wanted them to transition from 8th grade all the way to high school. And we wanted to instill in them some ideas of ways that they could start even succeeding as a freshman and continue that later on in their high school career. And then we didn't want to bore them to death. We wanted to make sure that they had some food also as well, because it's always good to have that. And we were there for 5 hours, so we wanted to make sure that they weren't hungry or anything like that. So we had a barbecue. We had a barbecue outside at towards the end of orientation, and I think Joe's even cooking some hamburgers and hot dogs on the griller or something, right? Yeah. So he did a good job. I approved of it. I had 2 of the hamburgers, so it worked out. But the students enjoyed it too. So we also had a donut club. It's one of our most popular clubs at BHS. We had it supplied by buying Jerry's Donuts. I haven't ever had a donut there yet, but I've heard good things about it. And we wanted to make sure students had a little bit of a snack in the morning while they were getting into their seats, getting ready for orientation. We also, this was our first time doing the orientation. We came up with some ideas of what we wanted to do in the future. And on this next slide over here, here's the characteristics of freshmen. We helped organize this list. It was a much bigger list, and we kind of cut it down a little bit. We wanted to make sure that students saw the overall goals we wanted them to succeed in.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what we did the first week of school. So the first 3 days, we decided that what we really wanted to do was encourage engagement and build relationships between teachers and the students, rather than just have them sit there and listen to the boring procedures for 3 days. So we did a whole bunch of activities. We did give them all our procedures. We did it as a whole group. We had a bunch of different team activities where they had to do a digital breakout room. There was a competition with that. There was a competition on the Friday where they went outside with like a real life catapult. And they tried to hit like pictures of the teachers' faces. That was really fun. There was a timeline activity that Mr. Mishriki had organized where they had to do like a competition of getting to different stages of history. And then we also had meetings with the upperclassmen so that they could just have like a question and answer panel. Ms. Destiny came in to talk about the graduation requirements. Ms. Johnson came in and talked about the dress code and conduct. There was an English assessment and a math assessment. So probably Mr. Galley and myself were probably the least favorite of the group. But we just wanted them to have fun for the first 3 days. And I think for the most part, the feedback we got from the students was pretty positive.
I will offer this, that I watched the catapult right outside of my window.
Sorry.
And they had, no, it was awesome. They had a great time. And then a couple of them were over near my door. And so I popped my head out and they were like, that was awesome. So they really enjoyed it. So that was a great job by all of you.
We can thank Ms. Hobel for that because she organized that activity.
Great job, Melissa.
Thank you. A big part of the Team 25 is having a lot of common time and common procedure. The transition to high school can be challenging when you have so many different teachers, so many different things, extracurricular, all of that to kind of juggle all together. So we wanted to make it as easy as possible. We have common times, like we all have study hall at the same time, and all of the freshmen have a freshman teacher for connections. These times together can benefit by, they can get extra help from any of us all at the same time. They can retake tests, missing assignments. We can plan fun activities. Like we hope to keep some of the activities that we had going at the beginning of the year to kind of continue throughout the year and keep that momentum going of our Team 25 group. And we can plan class meetings, freshman events. We hopefully, I'm one of the freshman class advisors, and we were just talking about how we're gonna make a banner for hopefully a pep rally coming up soon, and we can do that during our prep time. So we have a lot that are involved in sports and other things, and maybe don't get to get involved in these other activities, but having that common study hall time or that common connections time, we can get them more involved in these things at school too. It's not just about our education, but also that social emotional learning as well, and keeping that going and making them part of our community that we've been kind of trying to strive for throughout the last couple of years. It's been hard on all of us, especially our students. We want to really bring that back together and get them really excited about being part of our high school. We also have common procedures. Like we all have the same course description, or we call it an SOP, and it has the same redo procedure, same retake request form, same extension form, same class expectations and rules. So with science, English, history, and math, they have the same standards as they go through all of those courses. We also have the same deadlines, so hard and fast deadlines that we meet. It was really neat. We had the first one come up and we had a few students who were still missing things. So we, during one of our common times, were able to pull them all in, and instead of, running around, you're missing this for this teacher, this teacher, this teacher, we could call them all in and kind of go through everything all together and get more of those assignments. We were just in a meeting today talking about how we have much less, I'm sorry, hold on one second. Apologize. 3-year-old is past his bedtime. Hold on. So we were just talking about how we have less B's and F's this year and see that transition to high school be a lot easier this year because of those common things and because we can all meet together. So we've seen a huge uptick in it. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Mishriki. I'm a history teacher on Team 25. And just a note about the previous slide, if it's possible to go back, that's great. If not, it's okay. But on the previous slide, the last point was about our course descriptions. And I'll just pick that up for Mrs. Hobel because she's got her hands full. But that's another powerful example of how giving us this unique opportunity to work as a team has really given us some powerful tools to enhance student performance. So in addition to all the common time and activities and collaboration that we can do, this is really the first year where Bolton freshmen who are already going through a difficult transition can go from history to math to English to science and know that the expectations are uniform, which I think that has A, made it easier for them to learn the expectations, but B, help them make a much more successful transition to high school. So I just wanted to cover that last bullet point, but we can go to my slide, which is a little program that the team created, which is called Miseli Money, also known as the Team 25 Cup. And what we did was we took one small piece of a program many of you are probably familiar with called PBIS, which is Positive Behavior Intervention System. And that's a much larger system. We took one small part, which involves rewarding positive behavior. We wanted to make sure that as they transition to high school and they get a lot more work than they're used to, and a lot of expectations change, we want to have a way to make them, encourage them, especially those who are less engaged in school, less motivated for whatever reason. We know we have a lot of who had less than ideal experiences making it through COVID. All of us did. So Miseli Money is really just to reward positive behavior in a fun way, but also to encourage students to kind of collaborate and work together. So what I mean by that is each of the 4 teachers that have spoken tonight has a homeroom, and within those 4 homerooms, we have all the freshmen. So we treat our homerooms as teams. So it's Mr. Mishriki's, we each have a name. It's Mishriki's Macaroni, the Golden Galleys, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the quarter, the team that earns the most Miseli money, and you can see we have different denominations, and sometimes we have to write checks because we give out a lot more, like for our volleyball tournament we did. But you can see there's the Miseli money featuring Mr. Miseli, our great MC from this evening. He was gracious enough and trusting enough to give me the login for his Bitmoji. That's his little cartoon there. So I promise not to abuse that privilege. I'm honored to have it. I'm going to keep it. So that's a way that we've been giving out our positive behavior rewards. And it is clear that it has not only been motivating and that the kids have bought in, but at times the competition gets a bit cutthroat. And we're just happy to see that we created something that freshmen find fun, that ties them back to academics and our expectations. So I'd like to say thank you to everybody for listening, but as the last speaker, perhaps I should wrap up and just say that I worked on a grade level team when I student taught 15, 16 years ago. And that was a high school as well. And many people may say, well, that's more of a middle school thing. But all of us on the team kind of agree that the kids are having a totally normal high school experience. But what's making this really powerful is the ability for us.
I think we lost Mr. Mishriki. I may or may not have pulled the plug on him. You can never tell. It's just, a couple of quick thoughts.
Thanks to everyone for supporting that.
So I really want to thank the team that ran with this. Now, I had a vision, I had some ideas, but we really just empowered the 6 professional faculty members to really run with this, and it's already more successful and more engaging than I thought it would be the first year out of the gate. And I don't know if you caught what Mr. Mishriki was saying there at the end. One of my mandates, one of my really important things with this, I did not want this to feel like another year of middle school. And it really doesn't. So although the students are together for those 4 classes, they're kind of on the hallway together in study hall, they are off to world language, and they're off to music class, and they're off to CTE courses. So it really isn't an additional year of middle school. And that's what's important to me. Another key person in all this, and the fact that she's still speaking to me after I threw this at her is, I'm very grateful, Ms. Christine Johnson, because I threw it. I said, listen, I want to schedule that. And I gave her a whole bunch of impossible things. And she pulled it off. And if it weren't for, I talked at the beginning about we needed to align some resources. And that's what got us this year we could do it, because we aligned the resources. And then it was like, okay, Ms. Johnson, there are the resources, figure out a schedule. And not only did she meet my expectations, she exceeded it quite literally. She added a huge component to it, that common study hall that I hadn't even thought of. And that is ginormous. So super important member, Team 25, Ms. Johnson. And lastly, for complete transparency and clarity, I did offer some level of trust to Mr. Mishriki when he called me up and asked me permission for the Selly money, but it was limited because the only way I agreed to it is if my 12-year-old daughter was the one who actually created the Bitmoji that is used. So full transparency. Thank you to Julia for that. We'd be happy to answer any questions from anybody if you have it.
I guess before there's questions, I would just like to congratulate the team and all members, because the freshmen that I have seen outside and that I've talked to in the hallway, and they just are really happy about being here. They've enjoyed the things that have happened so far, to Mr. Maselli's point and to Mark's point, and I think the points that all of our staff have made. And it's really a credit to all of you and the hard work and the outside of the box thinking that you did. Christine, whether it was the schedule or to our teachers in coming up with these great activities and common language for the kids, you've done an amazing job. And I think it was a great idea that Mr. Maselli had, and you guys executed with tremendous work. So any questions or comments from board members?
I'll go ahead and comment because my 9th grader has been part of Team 25. And so I've seen bits and pieces of this at home, and I can attest to how it has really made her feel a part of things. And certainly 8th grade was difficult, going through the pandemic year. It was no fun for anybody. And then to have to transition this year to a new school building, new teachers, new everything, and even classmates that you had barely seen last year, to be able to be in that team environment and reacquaint yourself with classmates that you hadn't seen in a long time, and to be in study hall together, to get help from your peers when you need it. It's been a really good transition. So congratulations, well done, thank you.
I guess I should really also thank, especially we got a couple of parents here or anybody's watching at home. If you have a Bolton High School class of 2025 student, please thank them. They've been good sports. I started in on them last year at rehearsal for 8th grade promotion with screaming and yelling and calling them 25 and being an absolute fool. And to their credit, they went along with it. So for everybody out there watching, if you've got a grade 9 student at Bolton High School, please thank them.
All right, hearing nothing else, that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you all very much. You are welcome to continue to join us, or if not, I'm sure you have other things. Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you
you,
all very
Mark.
much. That was
Thank you, guys.
very informative, good presentations. Doesn't look like we have any unfinished business, so we can move on to new business, resignations.
Correct. So we have a few resignations. One is from Bolton High School physical education and health teacher Robin Johnson and English teacher Jennifer Tierney. And I want to thank both of them for their years of dedicated service to the Bolton Public Schools and wish them well and much success in their new endeavors. That is all I have for resignations. So now we are on to a second read of policy 6146, graduation.
Yeah, we're looking for a motion to approve policy 6146, graduation requirements.
I can make that motion. This is Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Second.
Ty.
Ty,
if
give
we
us
want
the reading.
Ben or Ann, whatever.
Anne threw her hands up, so I put Ben's name down.
Okay. All those in favor of, oh, I'm sorry, any comments or discussion on this policy? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstaining? That policy is passed. On to, do we
Thank
have
you.
any future business?
Not at this time.
Very good. So that brings us to executive session, and I am looking for a motion to go into executive session regarding terms of employment for unaffiliated employee for 2021-22, and to invite the superintendent.
I would
make a
motion and invite the superintendent into the executive session with us.
I'll second that.
You, Ben and Rhea. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstaining? Thank everyone for coming out tonight that was on there.